What news update for May 16th? My name is Mark and I am joined as always by Spencer. And Spencer, we're not talking about Activision Blizzard today.
Mark, what happened? What happened with Activision Blizzard today?
We're not, Spencer.
What happened?
I am at my wit's fucking end with this Activision Blizzard shit. We are not talking about Activision Blizzard today.
So we're not talking about that the EU approved it.
We are
talking about, right? We're not talking
we
about
are
that.
not going to talk about the fact that the EU approved it. The UK is standing by, the CMA is standing by their decision. Every nation except for the UK has approved this thing, that has looked at it, that has finished looking at it. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the fact that the UK is full of fucking idiots right now, apparently, about this. We're not going to talk about the fact that the CMA is getting reviewed by the UK Parliament right now. We're not going to talk about the EU approval process. We're not going to talk about the fact that Xbox is going to have to put all of its games on any other cloud service in Europe as part of the agreement with the EU. We're not talking about any of it.
Okay, we're not talking about all of those things that happened with Activision Blizzard and Xbox. Got it.
Yes, we are not talking about any of those things today. So if you came to this news show expecting us to talk about the Activision Blizzard deal, I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about it.
Yep.
I'm sick to the fucking back teeth of Activision Blizzard. We're definitely not talking about all of the things that I just mentioned. So the goal for today, Spencer, is to get through a news show without talking about all of those things that I just said.
The goal for today is to get through an Xbox Game Pass / Xbox news show without talking about the biggest and almost only news that happened in Xbox.
That is cool. If we get 45 minutes into this motherfucker and we hit desperation mode, we'll talk about it.
Listen, I appreciate that we give ourselves a challenge on this show.
Yes, we are trying.
Just riding the headlines, baby.
We are trying our damnedest to actually talk about video games on our video game news podcast. I'm not here to talk about fucking regulators and business dealings and Phil Spencer interviews. I suppose we could talk about the Phil Spencer interview, actually. Shit, we haven't talked about that yet. That might be something worth talking about. Anyway, welcome to the SPARCPass News Update, everybody. Spencer, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling today. We were talking about this before the show. I've got like the perfect steady rain outside of my window. You know, it's that time of year where we get rain and storms pretty regularly, and it's like the perfect steady rain to sit on the couch and nap or just like read a book and drink coffee, but I can't do that because I have to help bring you fine folks the news.
Yeah, we gotta let you know what's going down.
You should appreciate us and how hard we're working when we could be lazy boys.
We are working so hard to not talk about the biggest news show of the year while it's raining. We're working so hard for you guys, gang. The biggest news story of the year. I don't want to talk about it. It's raining. I want to talk about Game Pass games. You want to talk about some Game Pass games, Spencer?
I do. Let's talk about Game Pass games.
Let's talk about the games that are hitting Xbox Game Pass in this 2-week cycle. Now, we said on our last news show 2 weeks ago that last 2-week slate was probably the weakest 2-week slate we've seen all year.
Mm-hmm.
So this slate is going to have to do some heavy lifting to carry the month of May beyond Redfall's mediocre reviews.
Yeah.
And pretty much nothing else coming out in opposition to Redfall on Game Pass, which we said makes a lot of sense because you don't want to program against your big game. Well, Spencer, as is usually the case with Xbox Game Pass, the indies are coming to save the day. If you are into independent games, this is a pretty good slate for you. But the first game we're going to talk about is not an indie game in the slightest. It may be one of the biggest games in the world. Thanks to the partnership with EA Play, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, today, FIFA 23 comes to Xbox Game Pass. Obviously, the FIFA games come to Game Pass every year. We talk about the sports games every year. We usually don't have a whole hell of a lot to say, but it is a big deal every time FIFA, or in the future, EA Sports FC, once they lose the FIFA license coming up, is a big deal franchise, and we talk about we want a big game with every Game Pass announcement. Frankly, in terms of casual appeal, it doesn't get much bigger than FIFA.
Yeah, this is a name that everyone knows, and a lot of people play. I legitimately already forgot that it was on this list because I do not give a shit about FIFA. I'm gonna be real with you, man.
Right.
I could not care less about this game. But yeah, that's the big one for this 2-week slate at least.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the big game. FIFA's a big game that a ton of people play. If you haven't already picked up FIFA 23, it's been on sale pretty cheap a handful of times, but if you haven't already picked it up, this is the time. FIFA games usually stay in EA Play for 2 years, so you've got 2 years to check this out before it cycles out for the newer FIFA game, which is the same as the old FIFA game, which is the same as the new FIFA game, and a little bit of everything all the time. A little bit of everything all the time.
They really do it every 2 years, huh?
Yeah.
Doesn't FIFA game come out every year, though?
Yeah, so they keep last year's game and the current year's game.
Oh, okay. I'm picking up
Yeah.
now. I thought they did like every other year it comes out. I was like, that seems weird.
No, they put that motherfucker out every year, and sad folks will buy it because it's the main video game they play, and that's okay. I was watching one of my favorite streamers, Zanny, the other day, and he described FIFA Ultimate Team as Genshin Impact for men.
Yeah, I mean,
it
reminds me of the memes we see all the time of like, why would you watch somebody play video games? Dude in jersey sits down to watch football. Like,
right.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I see it.
Exactly that. I don't want to sit here and dog on FIFA too much. It's an important part of the ecosystem, and it's important that it's here.
You don't want to, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. FIFA's dumb. I'm kidding. If you enjoy the game, that's cool. Play the games you like, whatever. Yeah. It's not for me, but if you dig it, you dig it. That's what matters.
And we always talk about how important it is to have all these sports games in the Game Pass ecosystem, right? It's very important to have shit like this.
Thing of games is better than, here's 400 shooters and that's all we offer you. Or here's like a bunch of RPGs and that's all we offer you. Like, having a well-rounded set of games is always good. If anything, it gets more people interested in games, and they might check out stuff they wouldn't have checked out before. And it just, it adds more value to something that you're buying, right? Even if you're not maybe going to get that super into it, like, if you need an hour to kill, there's always something to check out.
Yeah, exactly. And FIFA's a big deal game, and I know there's a lot of people that now that FIFA's hitting Game Pass every year are not buying FIFA at launch. They're waiting for it to come to Game Pass. And that's just better bang for your buck, more value for money. And that's what we talk about with Game Pass all the time, is like, it's the best value for money in games. Mm-hmm. So for big games like this that are annual franchises that you maybe don't want to pay for every year, because that's where I've been at with FIFA since about 2013. Big deal games coming to your service that you're already paying for. Sick. That's what we want. That's decent stuff.
You know what I want while we're talking about FIFA? I want you to bring back FIFA Street, and I want you to put that on Game Pass.
Do it.
I'll play the hell out of that.
I think there is a mode in FIFA that is more like silly street ball-ish, but it's based on the FIFA. I don't know. I haven't played FIFA. I want
the full-on FIFA Street. I want the whole game.
There you go. Bring back the street sports games in general. We talk about this every time.
Always so fun.
Literally every time we talk about a sports game on this podcast, literally every single time we end up going, bring back arcade sports games, EA. Yeah. We know you can do it.
Yeah.
Just fucking do the thing. Like, it's so frustrating. Like,
yeah. And listen, maybe that'll get people to play your other games where you make $9 billion on microtransactions. I'm just saying, this could be a good business idea.
Listen, anytime you present EA with a good business idea, like for example, keep Star Wars Squadrons going with a live service game that you can just sell ships and ship skins infinitely. No, we're gonna cancel support for that one. Thanks,
Oh, okay.
thanks EA.
Okay,
Yeah,
bye then.
like the one game I asked EA to do a live service for, they won't fucking do it. Every other EA game has a live service stapled on it that I don't fucking want. The one game that I do want them to do a live service for, where I will willingly go, I will pay you money. I will pay you all the dollars you want for cool Star Wars ships. Nope. Cool.
We're not doing that one. Shut up.
Thanks, EA. Anyway.
Somebody EA is going, you know that Mark guy? Screw that guy. That guy sucks.
Fuck him.
We don't want his money.
Anyway, FIFA 23 is coming to Game Pass. And spoilers for the leaving Game Pass segment, FIFA 21 is leaving Game Pass. So like I said, that 2-year cycle of the last year's game and this year's game is continuing on Game Pass, as it will until our inevitable demises. But the rest of this Game Pass library is all indies. It's all indie all the time. I want to get into a handful of these. First of all, on May 18th, Eastern Exorcist. I watched a trailer on this one. It doesn't really seem like it would be something that is super our jam. It's basically a side-scrolling Souls-like, where you're playing as like a samurai dude. It seemed like if you played Trek to Yomi on Game Pass this past year, it seems like something that might be in your bag, something you might want to check out. This game came out a couple years ago to middling response. So
I was gonna say, I looked at the trailer for this, and I feel like I played this game like a while ago under, maybe it even had a different name at one point.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe it had the same name, and I just thought that it didn't. But either way, I played this game or a game almost exactly like it. And you are correct. It is not our game. It is not a game for us.
Like I enjoy the samurai aesthetic, and I enjoy side-scrolling action games. Like, I watched this and went,
Yeah, the art looks cool. The idea behind it seems cool. I don't want anything to do with the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of good on Eastern Exorcist, but if you're into side-scrolling Souls games like this, if you're into the Eastern aesthetic, if you're into Trek to Yomi, which I played and didn't love, but I know a lot of people that did. If you're into that sort of vibe, might be one worth checking out. A game I am excited about, however, Spencer, is our next game. May 23rd, Planet of Lana. I am pumped for this game. I watched the trailers today for the announcement of the release date. Super excited about it. This is a puzzle platformer that is a sci-fi story. I am feasting on sci-fi stuff right now. It's got this beautiful sort of Studio Ghibli art style. I think this game premiered at Gamescom last year, I want to say. And we've seen little bits and bops. There was a trailer for it in the indie showcase that Xbox did a couple of months ago. There has been sort of just little stuff trickling out about this game. Beautiful art style, a spanning sci-fi story. It's a puzzle platformer. Like, just check all the boxes for me, dude. Like, I'm in. I'm super excited for Planet of Lana.
Yeah, I looked at this game and I was like, yo, this is a Mark game if I've ever seen a Mark game.
You're damn right. You are damn right this is a Mark game. I'm super excited about this one. This one's absolutely one that I'm going to check out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the art looks really cool, but I don't know if it's a me game, you know? Kind of how we were talking about, even with the last game. But I don't think it looks bad. I think it gives me Limbo vibes without being dark and creepy and sad.
Yeah, you've got like a little ball alien friend, and it's very bright and vibrant.
Yeah,
exactly. And it looks like it's on. I think the game starts on Earth and then moves you to an Earth-like planet, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got this very sort of bright, colorful aesthetic.
Yeah.
A lot of popping greens and bright blues and that sort of a thing. The game looks very, very cool. I am super excited about it. This one's going on the install list. May 23rd is when it comes out, but this one's going on the install list pretty much immediately. Like, we're pre-installing this one. And if I can tear myself away from Tears of the Kingdom long enough, I will get through it pretty quick. I'm hopeful that it's a fast game. I'm hopeful it's one that I can go, all right, sick. We can knock this out in a weekend and enjoy our time with it,
kind of
right?
just like looking at it, it seems like it would be a weekend game for sure. Like,
yeah,
this doesn't
that's
look
kind
like
of
an 80-hour game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's my hope for it. I hope it's like a short, snappy, fun, tells a good sci-fi story. And it's a beautiful game, like just aesthetically looking at it. Like, as long as the puzzle design's good, I'm big chillin'. We're in there. We're in that ass. Planet Alana looks very cool. I think this was also on Steam Next Fest. We talked about Steam Next Fest a few months ago. I think this game was. I think this game was also in that. So you might have played the demo from that, which I think is the same as the Gamescom demo. So you might have already gotten your hands on this game, but if you haven't, it's coming to Game Pass May 23rd. Definitely one that I'm keeping my eyes on for sure. And then Spencer, May 25th, we got 3 games. 3, count them, 3, coming to Xbox Game Pass. One we talked about last month, but I do want to mention it here. Cassette Beasts. It's already out on PC. It's coming to console now. It's coming to console May 25th. We talked about this game last month. It's basically a Pokemon style game where you your monsters are cassette tapes, and they play music, and you can put multiple cassette tapes together and sort of mishmash them together to create new monsters. It's sort of got like that, you know, mash 2 monsters together to see the cool weird thing you make vibe.
Yeah.
With some Pokemon battling. I haven't gotten to check this one out on PC yet because, as aforementioned, I don't play any other video games other than Tears of the Kingdom right now. So I haven't gotten to check out Cassette Beast yet, and my time was also preoccupied with other stuff. But this is definitely one that I want to check out, and it being on console makes it easier for me. So hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of said we thought it would be coming to console soon, like right behind PC. So
yeah,
this kind of makes sense. I don't know. I'm still not super jazzed about it. Seems like one I would check out at least, though. Just
yeah,
kind of
for sure.
See how it really like plays as opposed to just like, you know, looking at it. It's kind of hard to see. Like, I feel like games like this are either super fun or they're super not fun.
Yeah, I am into more Pokemon style games. If we can get more Pokemon style games on the market, I am in favor of that.
Especially if they can like hit that actual like Pokemon feel. Because there have been similar games that come out and they're just not the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're either too much the same of Pokemon without that Pokemon charm, to where it just feels like I'm playing a shell of the game, right? If that makes sense.
Right, I get you.
But I like that this has like, it has a little bit of a twist on it, and that could be enough to like hit both that nostalgia feel and give it something new and charming.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think the sort of like, because Pokemon is a product of the 90s, using that 90s cassette tape twist, right, is like a brilliant way to like twist that sort of 90s nostalgia for both Pokemon and for, you know, 90s music and things of that nature. I think it's like a neat idea. I'm more excited about it as an idea than I am about it as a game right now, but I haven't gotten to play it yet. So, you know, we'll see how it ends up looking out. But I am excited to give this one a whirl at some point. It looks like my schedule is starting to clear up. Like, Street Fighter's coming out next month, but other than that, and Street Fighter's a game I will just play casually for ages rather than a game I have to like know life, right?
Yeah.
So my schedule's maybe looking to start to clear up. I've still got to do Jedi Survivor at some point, but other than that, like, we're chilling, I think. So maybe I'll actually have some time to check out some of these cool indie games that are coming to Game Pass in the next couple of months. He says, the liar. I will never have time. 2023 is a beast. Another game, this one's actually several years old, but we talked a couple episodes ago about all the Double Fine games starting to come to Game Pass. We got another one. Massive Chalice is also coming to Game Pass May 25th. Massive Chalice is an XCOM style sort of strategy game that takes place in a fantasy world. This game came out in I want to say 2015, 2016,
2015,
somewhere in that.
yeah.
2015, yeah. This is one of the several games that Double Fine kickstarted.
Okay.
This is whenever they were in their self-publishing sort of crowdfunding era, before Microsoft picked them up. I think this game looks cool. I haven't gotten a chance to check it out before. It's cool that it's here.
Yeah. I don't know, kind of the same as the rest of them. It's cool it's here, but it's not for me. This list is light on games I'm interested in. Which is
Damn it,
totally
Spencer.
fine, dude. Not everything's for you, right? You know what I mean?
I'm trying to get you excited about video games here, my guy.
What do you want me to do? Put out games I want to play, Microsoft. What do you want?
I know. I know. I just don't want to feed into this fucking Twitter dork narrative of Xbox has no games, indie games are trash. I just don't want to feed into that.
That's not what I said.
I know.
Fuck those people.
I know that's not what you said, but I don't want to feed into that narrative.
See, those are the people, though, that look at it and go, if this video game isn't made for me, I think it's garbage. I'm just like, I just don't really like strategy games that much. And, I've tried the XCOM games. I've tried similar games. I tried Halo Wars. I tried all that stuff. And even, a fucking Halo skin couldn't get me into it. Nothing's getting me into it. It's not going to happen.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's totally cool. Doesn't have to be for me. As long as other people like it, that's what matters.
Spencer, the next game is absolutely not for you either.
Oh no, looking at the list, I know it's not.
Railway Empire 2. This one's actually a new game. This is a game that's coming out day and date on Game Pass, which is cool. It's cool that games are coming day and date on Game Pass. On the negative side, this is a game about trains.
Hold on. We need to rephrase that. The negative side of this game is not that it's a game about trains. Trains are fucking cool.
Trains are cool. I like trains.
This is a game about building a fucking business and an empire, and you have to manage all this shit. Listen, I have to manage myself every day, and that's a task. I don't want to do it in a video game. In any way, shape, or form do I want to do that.
Hey, man, there are a lot of people that are super into games like this, and that's rad.
That's fine. I think it sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Just the idea of what is essentially just a very colorful, well-made graphical spreadsheet of running a train business.
Hard that fucking pass, dude.
That kind of seems like that's what this game is. It's a really nice looking, interesting spreadsheet of running a business about trains. Yeah. Which I can get into board games about trains. I like Ticket to Ride.
Trains.
I like trains. Trains are cool.
The business side of trains. Give me a game. Give me this game or a mode in this game and strip out the spreadsheet shit. Where it's just I get to basically watch a cinematic of a train drive around and I can control the camera and I'd be 1,000,000 times more interested.
To be fair, you can probably do that, right? There's probably a thing you can do in Railway Empire.
Give me Railway Camera 2 instead of Railway Empire and you have my attention.
Fuck. Railway Empire. It's coming to Game Pass. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. The last game coming to Game Pass in this slate is Chicory, A Colorful Tale. This is a game published by Finji. Finji, we know from last year, publishing the 2022 Game of the Year, I Will Die on This Hill, Tunic. Tunic is the best game that I played last year by a country fucking mile. I love Tunic. This is the same publisher, not the same developer, but the same publisher. Finji finds a bunch of really cool, unique indie games. This game came out, I think, for the Switch and PC a couple years ago. It's a top-down adventure game in which you are a man who uses... It's sort of got this like sort of painterly sort of art style, and it's all in black and white. And your primary character uses color to uncover secrets in this sort of black and white hand-drawn world. The art style of this game is gorgeous. It is so pretty. And it seems like, your sort of straightforward indie top-down adventure game where you use your painting power to uncover secrets and find puzzles and walk through a story, right?
Right.
Seems like that sort of vibe. I think the game's very pretty, and it's a publisher that I really like most of the stuff that Finji puts out. Most of their stuff is just like right up my alley. I think they did Night in the Woods too, I think is another game that they published. A bunch of stuff that they do is like right up my indie boy, like, oh, this is pretty, and it's also a throwback to an old 90s genre that I really like, right? Like they pick up a lot of games like that. So another one that's like right down the alley and throwing a strike for me, dude. Like I didn't get a chance to check this out on Switch. And now that it's coming to Game Pass, it's going to be here for at least a year. I'll probably have time to check it out at some point or another.
Yeah. Yeah, this is 100% a Mark game if I've ever seen a Mark game again.
I was wondering why I was so excited for this slate. Like I was looking at this slate, I'm like, man, this one's pretty good. Like after the disappointment of the slate 2 weeks ago, that was like Redfall and nothing. Like for me, I was looking at this slate and going, yo, is it just me or does this slate kind of fuck? And then like now sitting here talking with you about it, I'm putting together that it's like just a bunch of shit that's my shit.
Yeah.
Like,
why do I love this so much? Because it's like they designed it for me.
Right. A Pokemon style game, a sci-fi puzzle platformer, a strategy XCOM style game, and a beautiful hand-painted game from one of my favorite publishers. Yeah, this is a Mark list.
Yeah, what else could you possibly want at this point?
That this is 100% a my shit list.
Yeah.
So like I am not an unbiased source here, but for me, I think that slate of Game Pass games is pretty fucking good because it's a bunch of shit I like.
Yeah, Mark, I do have a question. Did we miss a game?
Oh, we did. Shit. You know what? I missed it in my one list, and then I missed it in this list too. God damn it. Because I didn't mention it in the fucking yes. Blah 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 blah.
This is the one game that he's not going to be excited for, and that's why he decided not to talk about it. He didn't miss it. He knew what he was doing.
No, I missed it in the initial tweet that I did, and I took my notes from the initial tweet, and I missed this one game that was like right in the middle of the list. Yeah. Ghost Lore. Ghost Lore is already on PC Game Pass. This is another reason why I missed it, because it's a game that's already available on PC Game Pass. It's just coming to console. It's just coming to console. Ghost Lore is a sort of Southeastern Asian inspired Diablo-like, essentially. Game looks neat. Apparently there's a bunch of ex-Diablo developers, Diablo 2 developers working on this, which they know what the fuck they're doing. That seems cool. I haven't gotten to check this one out either, but Ghost Lore is coming to console May 18th. If you haven't got a chance to check out the PC version, that one's coming in 2 days. So that's another one to check out. Sorry, I swear to you, I didn't skip it twice on purpose. Like, the game seems fine.
You didn't.
I promise you, I didn't skip it twice on purpose. Ghost Lore is coming to the game. Like, I mean, people really like these dang Diablo games, man. So here's another one.
Yeah, here's more of them to hold you over until Diablo 4 comes out.
Right, we got about a month, I think, till Diablo 4 comes out.
I don't remember at this point. It's a very good question. I'll look it up.
It's sometime in June. I think it's June 6th. I could be wrong about that.
Yep, you're right. June 6th, 2023, baby.
Yep, June 6th. So if you need something to hold you over a couple weeks till Diablo 4 comes out, there you go. There's your jam. So yeah, overall, I think this slate of Game Pass games, now granted, I'm biased. A lot of the shit that's in here sounds like some shit that I'd be into. But I think this slate is a lot better. It's certainly better than the one we got 2 weeks ago, like without a doubt. Which, you know, that's not a high bar to clear. That slate 2 weeks ago was, frankly, aside from Redfall, terrible. Yeah. So this is definitely a marked improvement. A lot of cool indie stuff. Some stuff that's been on the anticipation list for a little bit with FIFA and Planet Alana. I think this is a solid list. You know, like I'm not calling up Phil Spencer's office and being like, "What the fuck, Phil? Leave your job, get fired, blah blah, yell on Twitter, shit." Like, I'm not there. This is a fine list.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's not much here that I'm super into. But that's totally cool because there's a lot of good stuff here. That I think a lot of people are going to be able to enjoy, especially because a lot of them feel more like a bite-sized kind of game, and a lot of people right now are playing that gosh darn Zelda game that came out. So having something to be like, okay, I need a little break from this. What can I beat quickly? You got a list of games that you could probably get through in a weekend whenever you need a small break from Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a bunch of big games that have just come out. Tears of the Kingdom just came out. Jedi Survivor just came out. We're a couple weeks away from Diablo. Like, we're on the press. We're in big game summer, right? Big game spring, whatever you want to fucking call it. Like, we're before the summer drought. We're getting a bunch of big games. And I think having some bite-sized games, some indie games, some smaller stuff, to be like tide you over. And I mean, you know, Redfall also just came out. That's another big size game.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bunch of stuff that's like fairly large. It's coming out fairly soon. We're also almost to, you know, game showcase time. So it makes sense to have some smaller stuff here. And I think a lot of this smaller stuff looks pretty fucking cool. So I think this is a solid slate for Game Pass. Your mileage may vary. But I think this is a solid list. Fortunately, Spencer, there is some stuff leaving Game Pass. Let's go over these really quick. We're not getting any major losses here. This is a pretty slim 2-week period of games leaving Game Pass. Europa Universalis, which was only available on PC. Evil Genius 2 World Domination. FIFA 21, Floppy Nights, and Lawn Mowing Simulator. Those are the only games that are leaving Game Pass. Lawn Mowing Simulator, weirdly, and Power Wash Simulator, weirdly had their moment in the sun a year ago.
Yeah.
Which was utterly bizarre and something I will never understand. Shout outs to Twitch, everybody. What a wild website where Lawn Mowing Simulator and Power Wash Simulator can have a moment in the sun.
If you want to simulate lawn mowing or power washing, just come fucking mow my lawn or power wash my house for me, okay? Like, Jesus. I don't want to do that shit.
I don't think anybody wants to do that shit, Spencer.
Then why do we have video games about it?
I don't know. Dude, people like simulating real life tasks. There's a lot of people that like that shit. I can't begin to explain to you why. There's some people that will maybe never own a house and think the idea of mowing a lawn is quaint. I don't fucking know.
Listen,
I can't.
I'm here to tell you it's not. It sucks. Mowing lawns is dumb.
Oh boy. But yeah, to get on a serious note, no major losses here. We're replacing old FIFA with new FIFA. We're essentially replacing Floppy Nights 1-for-1 with cassette beats. They're very similar ideas and games. No major losses here. We're big chilling in Game Pass Island this 2-week span. We're not missing anything big.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything huge leaving. There's some of these I don't even know what they are. And I have to imagine I'm not the only person.
So we're doing all right on stuff leaving Game Pass for this 2-week span. Overall, I think a solid list. Definitely a marked improvement over the first half of May, which was Redfall and nothing the fuck else. So definitely a marked improvement there. And good with a good 2-week indie slate. Like a good 2-week indie slate that has a couple of cool looking indie things that I'm into. I am totally fine with that.
Yeah.
There's a big contingent of people out there on the internet that are not cool with that. Those people can fuck it. I'm kidding. If you're only into like big games, that's fine. Play the games that you're into. But
also
go fuck
don't
yourself.
turn around and act like there's no games on Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's
there's
not our fault that you're pretentious.
See, it's
Listen.
funny because I think people would call me pretentious for being into a bunch of indie shit.
I'm just saying, a
but
game doesn't have to be a AAA ginormous 85,000 hour video game to be good.
True.
And let's not
It's absolutely
pretend
true.
that it does.
It's true. That's very true. Give indie games a chance. There's a bunch of really great ones. And this slate has some solid ones. So absolutely go check out some indie games this couple of weeks. We're about to get, like, June, I feel like we're about to get unloaded on of just like AAA game news coming out of like a t-shirt cannon just firing into our chest. So for May, before we get doused with the sauce of AAA gaming, just sample some hors d'oeuvres. Play some indie games, you know? That's where I'm at. If you got time between Tears of the Kingdom and Jedi Survivor and the 875 other big games that are coming out in the beginning of June and late May.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about a game that I feel like... So I've got some sort of spot news here. There's some little things that I wanted to cover. One of them is this is just Mark's interests the show because I don't want to talk about Activision Blizzard. I wanted to talk briefly about this because there was a little bit of bubbling on the internet about a video game I'm very excited for. All Elite Wrestling's Fight Forever. There was a rumor a few months back in the wrestling internet. Yes, I follow wrestling internet, everybody. For news about a video game. The worlds are colliding. There was a bit of a kerfuffle about Fight Forever maybe being on Game Pass. AEW came out back in November and denied that the game would be on any subscription service. However, this morning, AEW Fight Forever, which does not have an announced release date, and we speculate that it's coming soon. They've said the game is mostly done. Does not have an announced release date. Suddenly is preloadable on Xbox. It's not preloadable on PlayStation. It's not preloadable on Switch, but it is preloadable on Xbox. Typically, when games become preloadable in this way, they're Game Pass games. As you heard from the slate that I just gave you, it is not on this 2-week slate, but it's something I wanted to point out to potentially keep your eyes peeled on. They denied it back in November, but there's a big gap between November and June.
Yeah.
So it's possible that something might get worked out here where AEW Fight Forever will be on Game Pass. It is installed on my Xbox right now. I can't play it. I didn't buy the game, by the way. I haven't pre-ordered it, so it's not a pre-orders thing where you get to preload the game. The game is preloadable for some reason only on Xbox, and we're not sure why. So I just wanted to point that out as a note for folks that are interested in stuff that may be potentially coming to Game Pass. AEW Fight Forever is one to keep on your radar. That one might be coming. I just wanted to throw that in as a rumor mill, sort of sprinkle on some extra fairy dust on that one. Spencer, I'm sure you have almost no thoughts on AEW Fight Forever, but I'll let you shoot for a minute.
No, I don't.
I just wanted to say it's a game that could be coming to Game Pass. Yeah.
I'm kind of interested, like, did they accidentally kind of like reveal that it's coming to Game Pass through doing that? You know what I mean? Is more like, what's going on? That's what I want to know. Is it happening or not?
It's not an unheard of thing for games to just sort of like, all of a sudden they're preloadable on Xbox and then a couple weeks later they end up on Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's not an unheard of thing. That has definitely happened before. The achievements also leaked today, by the way. So if you want to go to our friends at True Achievements, you can also go check out the achievements. So a release date on that game is imminent. So that one's probably coming either sometime during the Summer Games Mess season, or AEW is teasing a big announcement on their TV show on Wednesday. I doubt that it's the video game, but it very well could be. There's been stupider weekly giant announcements. So wanted to put that one on the radar. That's one to potentially keep your eyes on. That was not in this slate, but I would not be surprised if we're talking about that game in 2 weeks' time on a Game Pass slate. It may or may not happen. They denied it back in November, but a lot of shit can change between November and June. So that was just one that I wanted to put on people's radar. You might want to keep an eye on that one. All right. This was one, as we continue sort of our small bite news here, this is one that caught our attention. Sea of Thieves is doing a new expansion. And that new expansion, called The Hoarder's Hunt, includes some real life prizes, which we talked about it with Halo a few months ago, when Halo started doing real life prizes. I don't know about you. I think real life prizes for paying a video game is sick. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's cool as hell.
And Sea of Thieves is doing it, I think, for the first time. I think they've done merch before, but like doing physical prizes for just playing the game, I don't think it's something they've done before. So I wanted to talk about it. This event is called The Hoarder's Hunt. If you'll remember, I think it might have been sometime last year. Sea of Thieves did a mystery event where one of the NPC pirates was found dead on an island. His skeleton was there. He's just fucking dead. And they unveiled a lot of clues through social media of like what happened to this fella and places you need to go to like uncover the mystery of how this guy died. That's something they did last year, and it went pretty well, had a lot of engagement and excitement around it. So they're bringing it back as a full-fledged event in Sea of Thieves, not just something they're running through social, called The Hoarder's Hunt. The Hoarder's Hunt this is straight from the website, a series of puzzles with clues found on this website and other locations online. Solve a puzzle and enter the correct answer on this site, and you'll be able to claim a special voyage from Lorena the next time you play Sea of Thieves. So it's like the old ARG Halo games, like if you remember those back in the day of like the I Love Bees website and shit like that. Mm-hmm. It's sort of along the same lines. You get a clue on social media or on the Sea of Thieves YouTube page or on the website, whatever. And then you put that clue into this site, and if you get it right, you'll get a quest sent your way in-game that you can then go complete. The voyage is complete when you unearth a key to the special chest held by the gold hoarders, and a new puzzle and an accompanying voyage will be released at regular intervals. The countdown on the website says the next voyage is coming out in 2 days, and it's stage 2 of the Hoarder's Hunt. So stage 1 is currently ongoing. If you missed this, this is a game that you can play through Game Pass. So if you missed this is definitely something I would recommend checking out. And I think physical prizes for stuff like this is sweet.
Yeah, I love the physical prizes more than anything, I think, because just like you work so hard at some of these things, right? You work your butt off and spend a lot of time for it, and sometimes the payoff in game just isn't what you want, or it's not as cool as something you already have. So to say like, hey, you were one of the, the top people that did this, or you were one of the highest scoring, the first ones, whatever it might be, we're going to reward you with something that you can physically have and put on a shelf, or if it's a shirt, hat, whatever, you can wear it and show it off. It's super cool. I think it's awesome.
And this is not a shirt or a hat, Spencer.
Yeah.
If you are the first person to solve the final stage of the Hoarder's Hunt, the real world prize for being the first crew across is a unique replica gold easy for me to say, gold hoarder skull with a detachable, just a giant golden skull that gets shipped to your house that you can put on a shelf and say, I did a task in a video game, and I am now holding a giant golden skull in my hands. That's fucking sick. That's the, like, that is so cool. It gives players who, you know, have been playing Sea of Thieves for a long time. This game has been out for several years now. I think it just crossed over 5 years.
Yeah, it really has.
Gives these guys, you know, like, sort of like the Destiny 2 first to finish, the new raids sort of incentive. It's a very similar thing. Runner-ups will get 10 replica silver keys as reminders of those sought in the Hoarder's Hunt. And if you finish in third place, you'll get 100 replica Golden Reaper's Mark medallions, the currency of the Gold Hoarders. So, a bunch of cool sort of physical collectibles that are going to be out and about in your playing of Sea of Thieves over the next few weeks. Does stuff like this, Spencer, when we talk about games in the Microsoft ecosystem that are live service games, tend to sort of get overlooked in the sort of sauce of the live service ecosystem? Sea of Thieves is still somehow chugging along after 5+ years. Does stuff like this incentivize you to come back, or is it more just like a, oh, this is cool, move on kind of thing for you?
This is definitely, especially in this situation, one where I'm more like, this is cool. I'm glad they're doing this. I know for a fact that I would not be one of the 3 individuals to win said prizes. So, cool. Glad somebody who really likes the game will probably get it.
Yeah, for sure. But this is kind of cool stuff that I feel like Microsoft is one of the few companies with enough, like, financial capital they can put behind their games to do marketing stuff like this.
Yeah, I like, think that makes sense.
Like, it's really cool to see them sort of incentivizing doing the new content in unique ways. And this is something that I feel like they did a trial run of last year with the murder mystery, and now they're doing sort of like a bigger version of that. I think it's really cool. There's a bunch of shit in here that I'm just like, this is dope. I'm glad they're doing it. And I also just like the chase. This is how you do community building.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're an old school Halo guy. Although, like, the I Love Bees shit and all the ARG stuff and the sort of audio logs and random shit that you could find on websites.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that brings a community together. You know, like...
This isn't the exact same thing, but I do have a really cool story about video games and, like, people working together on, like, a community thing. So, this also is the complete opposite of Xbox related, but I don't care. We have 10 minutes left in the show. We're not fucking talking about Activision Blizzard, so I'm filling this time with a cool story.
Hell yeah!
So, back in 2014, I'm sure we all remember one of the greatest things to ever grace a video game world, which was PT came out.
Yes.
It got announced at Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show, one of the two, I don't remember. And they were like, it's literally available right now. Go check it out. I lived with a roommate at the time, our good friend Zach, and we were like, hey, we should check this out. Like, I went and got him from his desk where he was playing another game, and I said, come in here and play this with me. So we started playing it, and there's a Facebook group that I'm part of that's like a Game Informer community thing.
Yeah.
And between he and myself and this group, we had a thread going of making a guide of how to finish PT for the group. Like, we were like, oh, I just found this.
So cool.
And it was like, okay, well, check this part out. What does this do when we move it around and different stuff like that? And it was a whole thread. We spent a whole day doing it, and I almost didn't go to work that night. I almost called into work. I was so invested in this. And that's the kind of stuff that is so much fun with video games. That's the kind of stuff that, like, builds communities together and brings people together outside of just being like, I like video games. It's like you connect with people and can become friends with them through stuff like this.
And I totally saw something very similar happening last year with the Sea of Thieves murder mystery.
It's gonna, exactly.
And that's going to happen with this, right? There's obviously a bit more of a competitive edge to this because there is a prize, right?
Yeah.
But That definitely happened last year of like people just sort of organically going into the game and like piecing little bits of it together, and here's a social media post and here's a Reddit thread of like, oh man, how are we putting together how XYZ thing is happening, right? I love stuff like that. I think stuff like that is very cool. It creates a lot of sort of organic community growing, right? Of like, we all have this sort of collective thing that we as a community have to solve, right? PT did that. There's a reason people still talk about PT, even though it was essentially a demo for a canceled game.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason people still talk about that to this day. It's because it creates moments in time of like, I remember back in, what year was that, 2014?
Yes.
I remember when that happened and I was a part of it and I was there. There will be people 5 years from now, hopefully, if this event goes well, that'll be saying the same things about, oh man, I used to play Sea of Thieves all the time, and then we all got invested together in this, this gold hoarders thing and trying to figure out where the big sack of money that the gold hoarders are hiding from us is. Like they got invested in the thing. They invested and they played the game together, and they were able to grow as friends and sort of invest in this fantasy, right? And I hope that happens for Sea of Thieves here, because I feel like Sea of Thieves is like this very cool game with a niche community that just like doesn't get talked about. Like,
like it kind of gets
almost
talked
at all
about in its community, and that's about it.
Right, exactly. Like there's so few people that like acknowledge that this is a decently done live service game that had a rocky launch and came up from underneath and put together a cool, unique, sort of smaller community that is really invested in its gameplay loop. And there's so much discussion all the time about like big games and big communities. Being able to foster this sort of mid-sized community, because I wouldn't call it the Sea of Thieves community small. It's not like a few hundred people, right? It's like decently sized. And being able to foster community games of that size that go on for a long time, and like I said, it's been over 5 years. Like, to me, that is a success that maybe doesn't show up in the balance sheet, that maybe doesn't show up in revenue, but that is a success in engaging people with your product. And keeping people invested long term. And I hope that an event like this is a success for Sea of Thieves, because that creates engagement with the Xbox brand at the end of the day. Like, if you love Sea of Thieves, you're going to be excited for Rare's next thing, Everwild, which is coming this year, I believe. I don't believe that at all. I'm lying to you. It creates engagement and excitement for Rare's next thing. And like, what's the next thing they're going to do in Sea of Thieves? What's the sort of like excitement around the brand? And it's one of those quiet things that doesn't get a lot of like media attention, like say the Activision Blizzard deal. But I think it's more important than people let on.
Right.
Building that engagement and building that community within games and not giving up on games when they don't do well financially. And I think Sea of Thieves did okay, and I think it continues to do okay in terms of money.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a world beater, but I think it continues to sort of steadily hum along. And I think having games like that in your library on Game Pass is super important. And I'm super glad that Sea of Thieves just sort of continues to hum along at its own pace.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like this is similar to what we were talking about earlier of people who are like, there's only indie games, there's no games at all. It's like, not everything has to be the biggest thing in the world. Not everything can be the biggest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
And it goes along with a lot of things. Like, we don't want to get too fucking philosophical about life here. But like, just because you're not a billionaire doesn't mean you're not successful. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this game having a dedicated community and making enough money to still be going and still be employing people to make the game and continue to add new stuff like this to it, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking good, man. A lot of games don't get that
exactly
at all.
Yeah.
We see a lot of games that last a year and then they're gone.
Right.
So having this is feels like a pretty good success to me, because this game's been going, like we said, for 5 freaking years.
Yeah, and it's still humming along. They put out that new 2023 edition. It definitely feels like, with Everwild sort of looming over the horizon, it definitely feels like maybe not the end is coming, but like the end of being the focus supported game is probably not too far away, right? Like Everwild is probably, optimistically a year out, probably longer. So, we're definitely approaching that time with Sea of Thieves, but the fact that they haven't given up on it and they're still engaging with it and they're still doing inventive things that they've never done before, right? Like giving out physical prizes is just something they haven't done, right? And it's a cool way to spend your marketing budget in a unique way that drives engagement to the game. I mean, it caught my attention. I'm like a casual, occasional Sea of Thieves player. Like I don't play often, but like once in a blue moon, I'll turn it on and be like, oh yeah, fun time with this game. Like it was a big part of our streaming journey. We played a ton of Sea of Thieves sort of over the years. We've played it on this channel. We played it back when it came out. And I just think it's awesome that this game is still continuing its journey positively. It's still sailing along and it's still doing new things that it's never done before. And I just like to check in with it occasionally,
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, I just kind of like to check on it every now and then. You know? Or, like, when something new gets added to it, it's like, oh, that looks like a cool thing to check out and do. I don't want to play it, like, every day or, try to finish every single thing in the game. But when, like, a new event or a new little story beat comes out, it's like, yeah, it seems like a good time to jump back in for a few sessions.
Exactly. And I love that the game's continuing to trend in that direction and engage in new ways. And it's also a great driver for Game Pass, man. Like, if you get excited about a thing in Sea of Thieves and you tell your buddy about it, it's such a low cost of investment of like, hey, pick up a month of Game Pass for $10.
Yeah.
Like that's such a low cost to ask your buddy to, hey, let's try this thing out together. It goes to show the power that this ecosystem that Microsoft has built can have, right? Even when it's not putting out blockbusters, which, they just tried to put out a blockbuster. Redfall didn't break any blocks. But even when the ecosystem is not building blockbusters, it can still do this steady, consistent thing. I would love to see Microsoft doing more of this. They do a little bit of it in Forza Horizon 5, which, by the way, very small news update. Forza Horizon 5 just crossed over 30 million unique players, which is a lot of fucking people.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a huge amount of people. Like, if they can continue to get gains like this, I mean, obviously they have a gigantic built-in ecosystem with Minecraft. But if you can continue to do it with games like Sea of Thieves, you can do it with games like Forza Horizon. Hopefully the new Forza Motorsport, which is going to be more of a platform, ends up doing that. Halo Infinite is starting to get on the right track, right? They just put out a new cutscene for Halo Infinite Season 3, I think 2 days ago as well. So, like, little building blocks, right? Progress is often slow and steady and not big and bombastic. If you're waiting for Microsoft to, like, flip the switch and do, boom, massive thing, I feel like you're kind of going to be waiting for a while.
Yeah.
But these little incremental, like, oh, the community for this game is still building and it's still going and it's exciting and it's getting better and things are improving, right? Progress is often slow and progress is often incremental.
Yes.
And I again, I don't want to get philosophical here, but I am kind of getting philosophical here of like, I don't expect Xbox to come out and change the world with one video game at the end of the day. I expect them to provide a consistent, solid service that is constantly improving. And I feel like I'm getting that. And Twitter, that's why I'm not mad about Redfall. I've somehow made this about Redfall. Here we go. That's my philosophy speech on the state of Xbox.
I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said.
Like that's just like everybody is so hyper focused on Activision Blizzard, on Redfall didn't review well and has some technical hiccups. Like Starfield has to deliver. It has to deliver with fists clenched. It has to deliver. Like
You're setting yourself up for disappointment if that's what you're doing, to be honest.
You are. You 100%. You are
going to live up to those expectations if that's how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this goes into the stuff Phil Spencer talked about in the Kind of Funny interview a couple weeks ago. At the end of the day, like, Xbox is in a position where it can't out Sony. And if you're expecting that, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. If you want a AAA game every 6 months, go buy a PlayStation, I guess. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
they're different things, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they're different things and they're doing different things. You know, I can understand some frustration with that, but at the end of the day, like, the company's doing what it's doing, and personally, I like what it's doing. Like, it's different. It's a service that I feel like I'm bought into and connected to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really like what Xbox is doing on the margins in the little things, right? Would it be great to have a big bombastic AAA game out every 6 months? You're damn right it would. It'd be cool as fuck, right? Like, it's exciting when we get a bunch of new big AAA games to talk about. But when we get a small indie slate and we get some little updates from Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon's still doing well and Halo Infinite's slowly getting better, we're getting new cutscenes, we're getting new content, we're getting little things. Those are the kind of news stories that don't get talked about. It doesn't drive engagement. It doesn't, get you more clicks on YouTube. It doesn't get you interactions on Twitter. It doesn't get you any of that. So I understand why that stuff doesn't get talked about. But that stuff is important too. And hopefully here on the SPARCPass News Update, we bring you the stuff that maybe not everybody else is talking about all the time. Because we're not talking about Activision Blizzard.
Yeah. Well, and like, the other thing outside of that is like, how many times can people talk about the exact same thing before you're just hearing the exact same thing over and over and over again? You're not getting anything new from it. You know what I mean? There's only so much information that exists, and I just don't care to hear everyone's opinion on everything, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Spencer, I feel like we're sort of like impromptu making a philosophy for the show here.
Yeah, like we kind of are. We have accidentally made the show's like philosophy and like business statements.
Right, yeah, exactly. We just accidentally made the mission statement for the SPARCPass News Update.
There you go. That's the phrase I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, we just accidentally made the mission statement for the show. Hopefully, we're talking about all the games that are coming to Game Pass and sort of looking at each one by one, rather than like, I feel like a lot of times people just sort of see a slate with like 8 games on it and they go, I don't know what the fuck any of these are. I don't care. Like,
and I mean, like, I guess I looked at them and still went, I don't really care to play any of these games personally.
Sure.
But like,
and that can happen sometimes, but
I think they still look like they're probably good games for the people who would play those games.
Yeah. And I think it's important to pay attention to the smaller stuff and not just the big stuff all the time. Frankly, the smaller stuff is where a lot of progress is actually made, and that's just true in life. Yeah. Not just,
that's just kind of everything.
That's just life and everything, right? So, obviously we're getting very philosophical on this episode of the SPARCPass News Update. But, I just think, like, where I am at with my enjoyment of Xbox as a brand and, the stuff I'm disappointed in and the stuff I'm excited about. The stuff I'm excited about is the little things, and the stuff I'm disappointed in are the big things. Mm-hmm. So, like, I understand why sometimes we get the big flashing red light of, like, disaster approaches, right? But I don't know. Take enjoyment in the little things here in the world of Xbox. And maybe you'll be happier. I just want to see people happier at the end of the day. I want to see people happy and enjoying games. And I think that's why I do this show, right? Is like, I want to introduce people to games that maybe they've never heard of that they can get excited about.
Yeah.
And for me, really, that's what SPARCPass as a whole is all about. So, on that bombshell, we successfully did an hour where we didn't talk about the Activision Blizzard deal, Spencer.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. We're going to continue to strive to do our best to spend an hour not talking about the Activision Blizzard deal. We'll probably talk about it whenever it actually matters. But we're still in the like none of this matters yet stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen,
until it's either 100% done or 100% dead, I don't have anything else to say about it. Like, whatever.
Yep.
We don't need weekly incremental updates on this ginormous thing.
Yep. Let me know when it's finished, one way or the other, and then we'll talk about it. Until then, we're going to keep talking about games. We're going to actually talk about the games that are coming to the service, and we're going to hopefully find games that we love. And if, we don't love them, we'll be honest about it. But if, I just want people to be excited about video games. I want people to be happy. And hopefully you can find happiness on Xbox Game Pass. And hopefully you're happy listening to this show. Thank you guys so much for listening. This will be our last show for May. June is going to be a wild month. We've got, speaking of big news, we've got the Xbox Game Showcase that's going to sort of be taking over our lives in SPARCPass land for the month of June. Our next news show we'll probably talk about the slate, and then the rest of the show will just be wild, rampant speculation. Yep. What are we expecting to see at the Game Showcase? What do we want to see? We'll probably do like a 5 things we want to see or something along those lines. We'll figure it out as we get there. But we're going to do rampant speculation on what we want to see at the Game Showcase. Then the week after that is the Game Showcase. We'll be carrying that with you either live on Twitch, or we'll be doing some sort of post-commentary thing. We haven't 100% decided yet what we're doing. It will probably either way replace the Sunday stream. Yeah. Because it is happening on Sunday, June 12th. So it will either way replace the Sunday stream. And then our episode on Redfall will come out the week after that. So a little bit of a different schedule. It'll be news show, game of the month show, rather than news show, game of the month show, news show. So slightly different schedule coming into June. The Game Showcase sort of necessitates that. But Spencer, I'm excited to talk about new games, and I'm excited to talk about Redfall. June is going to be a very cool month for us, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about and a lot to do in June, for sure.
I'm very excited to go through all of it with you. Thank you guys so much for listening to the SPARCPass News Update. My name is Mark. I have joined, as always, by Spencer. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.